people asked me years later about a snowstorm I was in, and it was a bad snowstorm of the 40s, and I was teaching school in Alice at the time. I came home. It was a balmy, beautiful day in March 15th. I was home for the weekend. It was during the Lenten season, and we planned to go to prayer service in Fingal. That's where the Catholic Church we attended. We lived near Lucca, but there was no Catholic church in Lucca. So my older brother, Ernie, and my younger sister, Delphine, and I set out for church, I presume about 7:30. And we had lots of snow that winter. The coulee north of our place that we usually used in going to church or Fingal was blocked.
What kind of a car was it?
Oh, I think at that time it was a Ford. I really can't tell you too much about it, except that we had bought it, I think, together. I helped pay for the car during my teaching years. And we felt that it was a good car, but it had no comparison to the cars of today. We attended Mass services, and if most people would buy groceries, or they would visit someone in town, but we set right out for home, and we lived 5 miles from Fingal. We had reached just about 2 miles from home. We crossed a Sioux Line railroad track, and the storm hit so fast, so hard, lots of terrible wind and snow. The visibility was terrible, so we ended up getting stuck. And there was no way that we could get out or get even help. So Ernie and Delphine and I decided to sit together in the back seat. We huddled. We sat close. As the time went on, we started to get cold. We'd run our motor, and then we'd shut it off. I guess we were thinking of carbon monoxide. And finally, we stomped our feet and clapped our hands, and we sat there until, I presume it was about 3 in the morning, and realized that no one would find us, and we were fearful. So we held hands. We knew there was a farmhouse not too far. Really, I think it was about like across the road. And we were hoping that there would be, we knew the house was empty, but we were hoping there would be some fuel, wood, anything that we could burn and be warm in the house. But when we got there, there was nothing. And so we decided to go back to the car. We sat there until morning, early morning, and then decided that our only chance of surviving would be to walk home. And I can't exactly say it was 2 miles, 1.5 miles, or close to 2 miles. The wind was terrific. As we neared my uncle's home, which was across the road from our farm home, there was lots of snow. We had to go up over a high snowbank, and at that time my legs were like stilts. They were frozen, and it was just that my mind told me to lift one foot and then the other. When we got home, my father met us at the door, and my other sister had her boyfriend at our house. They planned to go out that evening, and so they were there also. My father went outdoors, had a big tub of snow, and packed our legs. In those days, people didn't wear slacks, so that was the reason of our legs getting frozen. Ernie was fine because he wore jeans and, I presume, heavier clothing underneath. And Delphine and I would pass out, come to, and we continued to do that. And so I don't know why our phone wasn't working. We had a phone, but he walked across the road to my uncle's house, and they had stayed in Fingal because my aunt had her folks living in town, and I presume they visited there, and the storm came up at that time. So my father broke the door down to get into the house. The door was locked, called the depot at Lucca, and found that the Sioux Line train from Enderlin was going to be late. And in that way, my father was able to hitch up a sleigh. The roads were bad, sleigh and horses, and they put Delphine and I in the sleigh, took us to the depot. When the train came, they put us on cots in the baggage car, and so we went to Valley City. When we reached the depot in Valley City, it was Hub Peterson, who actually was the undertaker, who met us and took us to the hospital in Valley City, where we stayed for several weeks. And at that same time, the hospital was really in a great deal of turmoil. They were bringing people in, frozen, from the whole area. And it happened at that time that some of the boys living out near Grand Prairie out of Valley City were in the same experience. 3 of them, 1 of them died, and another had to have amputation. But my doctor told us that it was the packing of snow that saved our legs, and yet today they say that is something that you should not do. The result of all this was that we lay in bed at home. We still had large blisters on our legs. We went back for treatment, and now this happened March 15th, I returned to Alice to finish the school term, the last week of school. And that is my experience in the snowstorm of the 40s.